Hello, good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So today we're on a new book, which is Failing Forward by John Maxwell. But before we get started in this chapter, we're going to go ahead and invite some people here. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day because it is nice outside. I don't know where you're at, but it is beautiful here in Indiana. We only get a few days like this a year, so better enjoy it. And actually, while you guys are waiting for me to plug a few people in here, let me know where you guys are jumping on from. Are you from Arizona? Are you plugging in from Florida? Let me know where you guys are from. We like to see where everybody is coming in from on here. Alrighty then. There we go. All right. So, chapter 1 of Failing Forward. So, what's the main difference between people who achieve and people who are average? So, what is the root of achievement, and why do some people achieve so much while others really don't seem to be getting ahead? Is it the family background? A high percentage of successful people actually come from broken homes. Is it wealth? Some of the greatest achievers come from households where the households were average or below average when it comes to income. Is it opportunity? Two people can see with similar gifts, talents, and resources can see the same situation, but only one person can actually see the opportunity and do something with it. High morals, or is it absence of hardship? So none of these things are the key when it comes to becoming a high achiever. Like, I hear this from a lot of people when we talk about our successes, and they're like, oh, well, you just don't understand. You don't have kids, you don't have this, you don't have that, you never had this happen to you. Everybody has their own hardships, but it's really up to you of what you decide to do with them and whether or not you're going to turn it around. So the difference between average people and achieving people is that their perception of in response to failure. So what we learned in school. So everybody was taught in school something very different. And there's these three attitudes towards failure. There's I fear failure, I misunderstood failure, and in school we were taught that about 70% or lower is failure. But failure is not a percentage or a test. It's not a single event, it's a process. And I was unprepared for failure. So in today's world, we're given participation trophies and all at sporting events, and our parents and a lot of parents are really try hard to keep their kids from being disappointed or from having any type of rejection. But the problem with that is that these children are being taught not to deal with failure and how to go about it when failure comes along. Because unfortunately, when they get to the real world, we have these adults who aren't able to process failure well, and then we wonder why these kids have all these breakdowns and these panic attacks and social anxiety. When you don't learn how to deal with failure, you're going to have a really hard time. So that's something that's been taught. Like, the biggest thing that I got out of this chapter is how can you turn a bad situation into something good? Is there something I could either learn from this, or can I use this to my advantage? When this whole pandemic came along, we're like, okay, well, we can sit at home and just watch TV. Or can we get on the phone and use the resources that we do have to make a difference in our business. What can we be doing right now while everybody else is standing still? So that's an example of how you want to go about, like, is this a learning experience, or is this a way, can you take a really cruddy situation and turn it into a good thing? So that's basically what I got out of this chapter. Jeff, what would you like to add?
Yeah, so I think what they're talking about is just perception. What is your perception of failure? Some people are going to look at this and say, well, obviously I can't make it because, and then, fill in your excuse or your reason. People will sometimes pick family, like what they talked about. Sometimes people will pick the social setting that they're in. There's just a whole realm of reasons why people will pick out, hey, I can't make it because, I can't make it because, I shouldn't make it because. And they kind of give themselves all this. Failure is not really taught inside of the system as a positive, right? You get a mark, the bad mark on a test or a score, and now you have to go back and repeat the test. If you get repeated bad marks on a test, then you have to go back and repeat the class. And this goes over and over and over again. And it's unfortunate, but that's how we're taught in school. The reason being is it's almost as if it's designed to keep people from succeeding long term, especially in business, because business teaches something different than just being a normal employee. Being a normal employee, again, you want people to show up and do exactly what they're supposed to, not think outside the box, right? Don't color outside the lines, is what they say. Don't color outside the lines. This is a project. We want you to do it just like this. And if you don't do it like this, we're going to fail you and run you back through. Well, failure, in business is a little different. Hey, this didn't work out. What's a better way to do it? What's a different way to do it? What do I not know? What do I need to learn? So especially when building direct sales, network marketing, and you're going out, you're not going to say everything correctly right off the bat. It's going to take a couple times to kind of get that down right. That's why I kind of go by the idea, if you're going to do something, follow somebody exactly. They used to say if you're going to bake a cake, before there were all these great recipes, grandma or somebody in the family remembered exactly how to make something, and you literally have to go next to them and be like, okay, well, what did you do in the order you did it? Because obviously if you add certain things in the wrong order when you're baking or when you're making something, if you add the wrong thing in the wrong order, it can ruin what you're doing. Sometimes you have to cook it first, sometimes you have to add the spice first. It just kind of depends on what it is. Success and building a business is very similar, and there's a lot of different moving parts, there's a lot of different moving pieces. I believe in having a script of exactly what to say. That way you produce the same results. If you leave it up to the individual can use words, can use phrases, can use tone of voice, can use inflection, all to their disadvantage, and they don't even know they're doing it. They're like, well, I didn't think I said, I love this one, I said exactly what you said. Well, we have a recording of it, and it's not the same. You didn't say the same words. It wasn't in the same order. You thought you said the same thing. And that's kind of people's perception of the world based on their personality, based on their experiences, based on their background. They're going to see things the way they want to see them, not maybe the way they are. How do you overcome that? Failure. You do it wrong. You don't get the result. You don't get the income. You don't get the prize. You don't get to move up. But you learn as you go. And John Maxwell says you learn as you grow. As you grow into these skills and you learn more of the skills and how the skills work, then eventually this stuff starts kicking in. And once it kicks in, then you can go kick butt and actually build something significant. It's funny when people cross that line. I see a lot of people who will kind of trot along and they'll get active and they'll fail at it. Here's what happens to most people though. Most people get in and they'll start failing at it, and the minute it doesn't work out, they're done. The minute they try to call somebody and their best friend's like, this really isn't for me, I'm out. I thought this was going to work. I thought if I used Jeff's script, it was going to work. Well, I didn't say it would work on every person. It would work when you run into the right person. Not everybody is for everything, and not everything is for everybody. You know, just because someone's tall, and I always use this analogy, people think because in direct sales, because somebody needs it, they'd be the right person. And that's usually the opposite. It's usually the opposite. It's the people who don't need it who do well, who don't need it. They're already successful. They already have money. They already have connections. Those are the people who usually like doing more. That's why they're successful to begin with. The person who needs it usually is not the person who gets it, understands it, wants to do it, and wants to be involved. And if you know, the more I build, the more I realize this. It's kind of like the analogy of, you know, wanting to build a part-time basketball team. If you want to build a part-time anything, you know, and you see somebody who's really tall, and you're trying to talk the tall person into playing, rather than find the person who actually likes playing. And I see people do this in business. It's not just sales. It's not just direct marketing. It's not just MLM. It's not just network marketing. People do this in all kinds of stuff. Well, why can't I get this? Well, why can't I get this? Because you're looking at it from a selfish point of view. You're looking at it from, well, I just want to do well, so therefore if this person would come on board, rather than actually finding the people who would be the right people to work with. And here's what I can tell you the difference is. When you find the right people to work with, there is no slowdown. There is no wall. There is no objections. You know, I've run into so many people in the last few weeks that are like, by the way, I don't do any follow-up. For those of you who don't know this, you know, indirect sales and networking, I don't do any follow-up. I don't call people back. I don't send a message. Like, rarely to never will I do it. I built my process so I have enough people to talk to. And then when I run into somebody who's interested, I just tell them, I said, look, we have so many people we're talking to. My goal is to talk to enough people that when I do run into somebody who has an interest in this, they're calling us back. I said, I just need you to text me and tell me you have an interest in this. Last night at 12:28, I believe was the time frame. I'll pull it up here. We were sitting in a restaurant, imagine that, 2:24 or 12:24. So it was midnight, 24 past the hour, a.m. It says, hey, I know this is kind of late to this person, so not really late. I looked over all the information given, and it sounds like something I'd be interested in doing. Let me know. I said, great, let's talk tomorrow. Sorry, I don't have this number saved. He said, no problem, this is Dylan. Dylan I spoke with yesterday during the middle of the day. He had already looked at all the information. He's writing me back saying, yes, I'm interested. We have another person who we met with yesterday, who for some reason I got mixed up with somebody else. We've talked to too many people. And I just woke up to this message, and it starts out with, hey Alex, good morning. Did you get with me to get this information? I didn't send it to him yesterday. I was going to send it today. He says, no problem. I'll do that. Excited to work with us. Likewise, hey, just following up, never received any of the info email. And then they basically got it over to him. He says, am I required to sign this, blah, 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 blah. And then he kind of asked him some questions. Cool, send it in. Great. Normally it takes 2 to 3 business days. Working with, blah, 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 blah. Okay, best speed. Glad to have you as part of the team. Thanks, excited to get started. So this person got started, and I didn't even know it. Why? Because I learned how to connect the right people to the right people. And it just builds and grows. I mean, that's how it works. So this is another person who got back, hey, free today after 9:30 a.m. So people follow up with us. I actually don't follow up with people. It's the process I built and the way that I built it, because I do leads. How did I learn how to do leads through all this failing forward? Is what I realized is most direct sales and network marketing teaches chasing people. You know, write down your friends and family and chase them, and then chase through those people, and then go out and hunt people in grocery stores and gas stations. And if you think about it, we're in an attraction business, and how attractive is that to the average person? And the answer is it's not. It's not attractive to the average person. But if you look back in history, that was the way they started, because they didn't have some of the tools. They didn't have some of the communication. They didn't have social media. There wasn't the internet when all this started. So therefore, there are teams, there are groups of people who don't embrace this, who don't get it, and they're still teaching the same stuff from 1982. Which, does it work? Yeah, if you want to stick around for 30 years to make it work, yeah, it still works. It's just not as efficient and it's not as quick. If you get into any type of professional sales organization, I don't care if it's real estate, financial services, insurance, car sales, you do leads. Why? Because it's so easy to find leads. It's so inexpensive to get leads. Rather than chasing people down, you find people who are actually looking, actually interested. Now, I'll also throw out this warning, bless you, that if you are looking for leads, chasing leads, wanting leads,
Yeah. Can't get out here.
to do leads, you have to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. So with that, guys, that is basically a wrap. Hope you guys have a great evening or a great rest of the day. Weekend is what I was going to say. That's what happens when you don't have enough sleep. Anything else?
Oh, go follow us on MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show for our YouTube channel. And if you guys would like notes, I'm going to put a link in the comments below so that way you could go subscribe to that. And with that, we will see you on Monday.
Awesome.